What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pitt podcast. Today, we're going to do an NFL Combine preview. I'm in Indianapolis. I'm here with Carl Ludwig from Pittsburgh Sports Now. We'll talk about it all here today on this episode of Locked On Pitt.
You are Locked On Pitt, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Panthers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Pitt podcast, everybody. As always, I'm your host, Nick Faribault, here with Carl today. Carl, Pitt beat writer, of course, for Pittsburgh Sports Now. Carl, we're here all the week. We're talking to Pitt players. We're talking to NFL draft players. First day of interviews today, and it was pretty interesting.
It was eventful today, absolutely. It was straight 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m., 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
3 Pitt guys today, 3 big Pitt guys today, 3 guys who should be drafted. Obviously, Calijah Kancey led the day off. What do you think today? What were your impressions?
Yeah, I mean, just with how crazy was Jalen Carter, the stuff breaking in the middle of the day, it's never ideal, I would imagine. But then the medical stuff kind of came up for some of them. But we got to talk to Calijah Kancey, and Sebastian Dennis. So we got to talk to all 3 of those guys. I mean, by now, I think you and I both know kind of what to expect from Kancey, Haba, and Voss. Haba did some Italian, showed off some personality today. But let's kick it off with Calijah. I think he's kind of the obvious big guy here in the room, if you will. Calijah Kancey, man, looking like he could be a first-round pick. More recent mocks continue to have him up there in the first round. I think Daniel Jeremiah just had him 30th overall in his top 50. I mean, he continues just to rise up boards. What'd you kind of take away from today talking with Calijah?
He's not shying away from being an undersized guy. He's embracing it. Obviously, he knows that he's not going to be a 6'3" guy. He's not going to be this huge hulking defensive lineman. But it doesn't matter. He mentioned the leverage. He mentioned his speed and quickness. And a lot of that I've seen from the scouts right now is how quick he is. His first step off the line is outrageous. His get off is crazy. He's a freakish athlete inside a smaller body. And tomorrow's measurements will be pretty important. I mean, if he's below 6 foot, it might be a problem for some teams. I don't think it'd be a problem. I think he's fine the way he is right now. But certainly being 5'11" and whatever might scare off a few teams or two.
Yeah, he's a size anomaly. He's 5. He could be 5'11" and 280.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Obviously, not shying away from his size. It is what it is. He's an athletic freak. That's what Charlie Partridge kind of saw in him when he recruited him. That's why Jalen Twyman all the way back in the day said that this guy was going to be next up. He's obviously, I think, going to be the highest drafted defensive lineman from the Partridge era, which is saying something.
Absolutely.
And so you look at him, and just a really good football player. Calijah's interviews are always interesting because he's a little bit more laid back, and he's very clearly not the most comfortable public speaker. But I think what he did today, just kind of watching, what he said and everything is, he's out here trying to prove to people that, there was once a Pitt D tackle that was also undersized, that was doubted. Now, he's even smaller than Aaron Donald was. Yeah. But I think Calijah Kancey is willing to push those boundaries. He's not going to be a fit for every team, but the right team gets him, and they can use him. I think Calijah Kancey is going to be a pretty good player.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned he prefers a 3-4 technique or 3-4 defense. Obviously, 3 technique guy. He can play off the guard or the center. He should be a guy who can wreck the game. He's an interior pass rusher, and teams want that now. Getting after the quarterback is one of the biggest abilities you can have as a defender. So I think if he finds a nice fit, like I've seen Philadelphia at 30, I've seen New Orleans. I mean, if he can find the right fit for himself and he can get into that defense and acclimate well, I don't see why he can't be a 7-8 sack guy yearly for quite a few years.
Now, Pitt fans, I think, I get 2 fan bases on NFL stuff often. It's Eagles, Steelers. You mentioned the Eagles. I think he fits well with them.
Yeah.
Javon Hargrave, is probably going to leave.
Who he mentioned as a
yeah.
player he wants to play like.
Yeah, he mentioned Javon Hargrave, right? Similar build. Kancey doesn't have quite the rear end that Javon Hargrave does. No one quite does, but Kancey's built very well in the lower half. And then you look at the fact that there's going to be a hole there, and he fits in quite well as that kind of slicing guy. Then I also get questions about the Steelers, and I've heard this one a lot. What about Calijah to Pittsburgh? I like the New Orleans fit.
Yeah.
I love that fit. Sheldon Rankins is who he reminds me a lot of. I've said that there's a lot of Sheldon Rankins in Calijah Kancey, and I think that would be an awesome fit for him. I think the Jets, they're probably not going to be in the DT market. I think Quinnen Williams is going to be there long term, but I think he's a good fit there. There's a few teams that he could fit in with, but the Steelers need DTs, but he doesn't feel like a Steelers defensive tackle.
Yeah, he's not quite the 4-3 interior lineman there. I mean, it's if he does go to Pittsburgh, I'm sure they could make it work. Like, he's not probably like it wouldn't be his best fit, obviously. He wouldn't thrive in this system, and I don't think that'll be. He mentioned today he hasn't heard from Pittsburgh yet, which it's early. Who knows what will happen? But yeah, if Pittsburgh is looking for a D tackle. Probably not going to be Calijah Kancey just because of the scheme fits and everything aren't quite what they're looking for.
And listen, Pittsburgh plays a 3-4. Yes, they play a lot of sub-package 4-3, but even there, they like to get guys that can, are a lot more power-oriented things. And I say, he's similar. He wants to play like Javon Hargrave, but Javon is bigger.
Right.
And so, Javon Hargrave wasn't great in the Steelers scheme, but you can't just throw Calijah Kancey in nose tackle and think that he's going to do what Javon Hargrave did. So I largely view the Steelers fit as not good. So if you are a Pitt fan and you want him to stay in PA, you need to hope it's to the other side of the state. To me, I think he'd be a great fit there. I just think, if he gets the wrong team, though, it could really hurt Calijah.
Yeah.
He is a really good talent. And I don't think he has to do much to his game. I think you and I both know that watching this guy play here at Pitt, that he is just a really polished player that's kind of ready to go right now, right? But I do worry the wrong fit could really hurt him.
Yeah.
And more so than any of the other guys we'll talk about, I think Calijah really has to get the fit out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, obviously, every player wants to have the right fit for them. Like, they want to have the right team draft them who can scheme them into their system, and it's not for him, for every team, but every player out there isn't going to have the exact fit for them.
Yep.
So I think you give him he has the right team, like a mid-20s range.
Yep.
Or late first round, early second round. There'll be a team who wants him. He will make a team very happy once he gets there.
I agree. Well, we talked about Calijah. I think borderline first round pick. He's going to be going very high, top 50 at the very least. And that's going to be great for Calijah. But let's talk about Voss, because a few interesting notes from Voss today about his coverage ability and how he thinks he needs to provide discipline. But I thought the most interesting was about how he's changing his body. He lost 5% body fat.
I think he was at 12%. Now he's at 7%.
Yeah,
he's down to 225.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
that's light, man.
Yeah, he's light, and he's not the tallest guy in the world. He's 6 foot.
Like, he's another guy that's like, okay, it's the size question is, can Voss measure in well? And he did measure at the Senior Bowl, of course. I think he was 233 at the Senior Bowl. If he's 225 now, in a month he's lost 8 pounds. So I'm interested to kind of see where Voss fits.
Right.
Where'd you come out of thinking, out of what Voss said today, where you think he sees himself fitting in?
He mentioned that he would play Mike or Will. He wants to have the green dot. He wants to be that leader, that communicator on the defense. He's not good enough in coverage to be a safety. He's probably a bit too big to be a safety now.
Oh, for sure.
And he's kind of a tweener right now on that linebacker core. I mean, I think he has the intangibles, obviously. Very, very smart guy, great leader, great person to be around. It's just he has to find that niche now where he can play me. Like, I don't think he's a 3-down linebacker probably at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he has. I'm not sure if he can handle that wear and tear in his body. But I think at the very, very least, he should be a great special teamer.
Yeah, it should be a day 3 pick, I think, as a special teamer, somewhat. Now, you know, there's no real specific fit that's going to be like, oh, that's a great fit for Voss. I think it's just going to be a team where he can really sink his teeth into and can really learn special teams while
Yeah.
kind of learning
A
linebacker.
veteran team that has
Yeah.
some guys he can learn from,
Yeah.
and really spend a year, get his feet wet, kind of be that special team, play some football, and then as time goes on, kind of integrate into the system.
Yeah, that's how I view Voss largely. But, Haba also spoke today. And it's interesting because remember last year around this time, in the way too early mock draft, this guy getting first round buzz. Now, Haba didn't have the season he wanted. He really injury riddled, to be quite honest with you. He had a serious injury that ended his season early, and now he's just getting healthy again. But kind of what did you get from Haba this season? How frustrated him and all of that?
Well, I mean, Haba, it might be the most interesting man here at the combine. I mean, he's from Italy. He was sparring with Sean Strickland, the MMA fighter. He's a very interesting guy, and he's a big, strong guy. He's mature. He's been around the block a few times. Even though he's been around the block, he's also still pretty new to football. I mean, he played 5 years now. Came from Italy at 17. I know his production was down in a big way across the board this year, but I mean, from scouts that I've heard, he was very, very close many times this year. He was a handful away from pulling a guy down for a TFL, or he just missed a sack. And I think his tape is still really good. He didn't have the 10 sacks he had last year. He didn't have the 14 tackles for loss. But like you said, when he was hurt, not one word from him about how he was like, oh man, this is frustrating. I'm frustrated. The team we're 4-4. The entire way this season, he was a consummate leader, and everyone you speak to, he is the guy. Like, he is like the heartbeat, the emotional leader. Like, he's a great person to be around, even when he's struggling. So I think he comes out tomorrow or on Friday and Saturday, and he tests well and he runs well and he measures in well. I think he'll be a really solid 3rd, 4th rounder guy.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is long. The guy is pretty explosive off the edge. I like Haba a lot. I think he could be a real riser out of this group of Pitt guys we're talking about today. But when you were talking to Haba today, kind of what was the impression you got about the mind space he's in from the season, because his season did end early from injury, and it was just a frustrating year for him. To kind of watch personally for him because yes, he didn't get the stats numbers, he didn't stuff the stat sheet, and so Haba's in a weird place because he saw his team kind of surge at the end of the year, get their second straight top 25 finish, but also for him personally, he's fallen down draft boards. He was banged up all year, and he really hasn't had a lot of time to train as a result because he's been hurt.
Right. Well, he missed some time, but he crushed it at the Shrine Bowl. Like, he was like
he was awesome there.
The top ranked pass or pressure percentage generator. And talking to him today, he was just confident. He was very loose. He was cracking jokes. He was engaging with everyone to talk to. He told some awesome stories. Like, I think right now he is in the best place he can be mentally, and also probably physically. I mean, he's at 6'5", 255. Every ounce, it's all muscle. He's not some flabby guy. He's all muscle. He's in a great head. He's heard from the Jets and the Titans and the Patriots multiple times now. He's met with almost every team from the Shrine Bowl up till today. I think Haba is in a great place here. I think he really is in a great place to be a riser, like you said.
Yeah, and that's great to hear for Haba because I think he's just such a good player, such a great teammate, and you'd like to see it. But we haven't talked to everyone yet. There's still 3 guys. We'll talk to another one tomorrow when we talk to Brandon Hill. And I want to talk about Brandon Hill. And it's kind of an interesting story with Brandon Hill because, when you look at Brandon, kind of a surprise declaration. He gets an invite here, though. I mean, what do you kind of expect from Brandon Hill? And at this combine, I think it's possible. Calijah's going to test off the charts. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
I think Hill could have a pretty sneaky good day when he tests.
I'm with you on that. I think he'll test very well. I mean, he's very athletic. He's quick. He's a hard hitter. I mean, would he be better off going back for a year? Who knows yet? Maybe a team falls in love with him and he goes third, fourth round. Probably not. I can't imagine he goes too high in the draft this year. Better off to go back for next year and play well and then come out again in next year's draft. But he's here. Can't go back on that. I think he'll test very well. I think he'll probably interview well. He's a nice guy, very engaging. He had a great year in 2021. Last year he wasn't as involved in the defense as much. Teams didn't go as well as often. But he still made some splash plays. He's a hard hitting safety. He's a young guy. I think he'll test well, and if a team falls in love with him, I don't see why he can't be a day 3 pick.
Yeah, it's just a weird guy to kind of place. I think we'll learn more about it tomorrow.
Yeah, he definitely will learn more tomorrow.
And I'm kind of interested to see where teams view him. Are they thinking he's going to play deep or closer up to the line? Because I think he's a pretty versatile guy that can fit in a lot of ways. So I'm interested to see where Brandon Hill kind of fits into the whole equation. Carter Warren, we'll also talk later this week. Interesting player. I've always been a Carter Warren fan. I think he's actually going to go higher than a lot of people think. I think he's a potential 3rd round, 4th round pick here. I know the meniscus injury ended his season early. Right. And in fact, I'm not even sure if Carter's going to test this week. We'll figure that out later this week if he will. But pretty big week for Carter Warren in terms of just interviews, medicals. As long as the medicals are good, I think his stock will rise. I think he's really going to do work. If he's able to do Pitt Pro Day in a few weeks here, it's the 29th of March, I think that's where he'll really make hay because I don't expect him to work out here because even if he is cleared, he's probably just got cleared from that surgery. Wasn't the year he really wanted because it ended so early, but Carter Warren's a good football player. I really like Carter Warren's demeanor too. I think this tackle class is top heavy, but there's not a lot of depth, and I think he could be a guy that could sneak really in there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, he was at the Shrine Bowl, but other than that, we haven't seen much of him recently, which may or may not help him. I mean, he's a very, very typical tackle. I mean, he has the size, he has the speed, he has strong hands. I mean, he's also a guy team would probably love. I mean, he's a captain. Pitt loved him. He was a team leader. Younger players always flocked to him for instruction and guidance. He's an older guy now. He's 23, 24 now. I mean, he's the guy who come in probably and be an impact swing guy right off the bat. Like you said, I'm not sure if he's testing it out either. I haven't heard it one way or the other. But if he does, I mean, I can see him testing pretty well.
Yeah.
Interviewing well. I'm sure teams will like him. It's really just about what he can do physically. And it's been since September, October, where he hasn't played. So, I mean, at this point, he's probably nearing full strength. Yeah. If he doesn't go today, I'm sure he'll go at Pitt's Pro Day. End of next month. So.
Yeah, I think it's more just about showing, you can get in and out of your sets.
Right.
Just showing a comfortability with mobility. I don't even think the testing matters much for Carter. I just think it's showing that your ability's there and all of that, and you're fully recovered from your knee injury. And I think medicals are huge. So when he goes through medicals later this week, I think it'll be really big for him. If he gets flagged, it could be pretty bad.
That might hurt. Yeah, that might hurt.
Because you never know what can happen with meniscus injuries. But there's one man we still haven't talked about. Israel Abanikanda. Izzy is obviously here, and guys, we might have to be on speedometer watch. Listen, there are a lot of running backs that can run in this class, but we're talking about a state track champion. We're talking about a guy with legitimate star track speed. I mean, where is he going to run? It could be really quite special.
I think he's a sub 4.4 guy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him clock a 4.35, 4.36. I mean, last year's 6 guys, running backs, did that. Mm-hmm. The highest, I think, was Isaiah Pacheco at 4.37. He was now Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs running back. I can see Izzy. I can see him breaking that time from last year. I can see a 4.35 for him. I mean, he has lightning speed. He's explosive. I'm sure he's been training for this for months now. I mean, I can see him having a massive time tomorrow.
I think even more. I think he's going to jump out of the gym.
Oh yeah, he will test incredibly well. He's an explosive athlete.
He's going to be a guy that can put on a show here, and he hasn't gotten nearly enough buzz.
No, he should have. He's doing all this at 5'11", 215. He is not like he's some skinny,
Oh, he's a big
seedy
dude.
back. He is a big, strong man, and he's explosive.
Yeah, so he hasn't gotten a lot of love, but Fox Sports just ranked him as the 7th best back.
Okay.
You're starting to hear Daniel Jeremiah kind of talk about him a little bit. Dane Brugler from The Athletic's been talking about him. So he's starting to garner that buzz. But I think in Indianapolis, when we talk about the winners in Indy, I think Izzy has a real chance to be that. You talk about his 40 time, man. He could, there is an off chance that he hits sub 4.3. I think he has it in him. He has it in him.
I wouldn't bet on that.
I wouldn't bet it either.
What you can do, you can bet on 40 times.
Yeah,
now.
you can bet on 40 times.
If he does hit a 4.29 or something, you know what?
It's not gonna be that shocked.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be shocked.
Prove me wrong, but I'm not shocked.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised, but not shocked.
Yeah, I just know Izzy has. I think Izzy has it in him. I don't know if he'll do it though, but he is a special athlete.
He's 20 years old, and he doesn't have many touches on his pedometer now. He's still a young guy with less than 250. Well, he had this year, but overall less than 500 carries in college.
Yeah, and listen, right? We talked about this coming here. Would not surprise me if he's the fastest running back here at this event,
even with someone like Bijan Robinson. And his backup.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of fast running back. Tyjae Spears can fly. There's a lot of good running backs at this event this year that can really run, but Izzy can run with the best of them, and not with that frame. I mean, a lot of them, might be smaller guys that can really run. No one is 5'11", 215.
He's sturdy and he's built. Have you seen him? You see him posing without a shirt on. It's abs, like a 12-pack abs.
Yeah.
He is a built man.
One of the things I think I'm interested to see if he's going to do the agilities, because I think that's the one question about his athleticism is. I think a lot of people say, well, Izzy's straight line.
Lateral movement might be a concern.
Can he move laterally? So I wondered, does he feel confident enough to go do the 3-cone and the short shuttle?
If he comes out and runs a 4.29, I'm shutting it down.
Yeah,
I'm saying, okay, you see how fast I am? Come get me now.
But Izzy is the type of guy that might be that has some dog in him. That Pitt running back room had dog in them.
Yes, it did.
Izzy did.
Yes, it did.
And he's the type of guy that I could see going out there and being like, "You think I can't cut laterally?"
Well, and he comes out and he runs the combine best on the day.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked at that either.
Yeah,
but that is his biggest weakness is lateral movement.
Yeah, it's also going to be something that he saves to Pitt Pro Day. So I'm interested to see kind of what Izzy does from the agility standpoint of everything, because it's just a question that people are going to have when he's so explosive straight on. I also think he can put up some impressive bench numbers if he decides to.
Oh yeah,
bench.
He should have a monster day tomorrow.
Yeah, so
whatever he chooses to do, he should have a monster day.
Yeah, I think Izzy has a potential to really have a great combine. Well, Carl, great stuff from the NFL Combine. Of course, we're here all week. But Carl, tell them where they can follow you, read your stuff, all that stuff.
Yes, obviously PittsburghSportsNow.com. All things Pitt basketball, football, volleyball, every sport you want to read about, I'm sure it's on there somewhere. And then on Twitter, at LowBigCarl8. Check it out.
Make sure to check Carl out on Twitter. Read all the stuff at Pittsburgh Now. We'll be here all week, so you'll combine updates, everything Pitt. If you want to read Steelers too, SteelersNow.com, of course, is there. We'll be at the combine. And later today, we'll also be talking Pitt basketball when they face Notre Dame. Whatever happens there, whether Pitt loses or they win, their share of the ACC championship. We'll talk about that. So, folks, as always, thank you for listening. As I ended here, as always, hail to Pitt.